The All is the controller of controllers, and absolute nature appoints and exalts anything and everything whom the All wishes. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. To meditate means deep and sustained thinking or attention upon an idea or a problem. It may signify a state of uninterrupted silence and solitude or a state of profound tranquility. To some, meditation can be very mysterious and mystical thing. Remember, there is no such thing as their story, only history, which he says of us, his story, and mystery, which we say of us. When the Tamahus, Caucasu, three ether beings, is making reference to the story of the original indigenous woolly-haired Moors, flesh and blood beings of this planet, they refer to it as history, meaning his story. And when making reference to their story, it's called mystery, my story. Many have borrowed from us and set up great institutions pretending to the world that they don't know or remember their source. Our Neterit Tefnut is deity of moisture, symbolic of water and the circulatory system. The Tamarayan word tef means to spit or to expectorate. Also, Nut is symbolic of the sky deity and the uterus in Gadam, ancient, Tama-Re. Nut is also the daughter of Tefnut who gave birth to Geb, deity of earth. She is the consort and wife of the Neter Shu, deity of air, who both are children of the Neter Adam Re. The third Adam is Anshar, deity of the foremost heavens, and Kishar, deitess of the foremost firmaments. Remember, the firmaments were separated in the heavens. In ancient Egypt they are known as Kek, deity of darkness, and Keket, deitess of darkness. The deities of the Pyro-Pygmies called Sirku and Sirka, the personification of all flesh and blood everywhere. As the precepts goes, a family who prays together, stays together, a family who read together succeed together, and also teamwork makes the Nubian nation. Giving each of us the power to make dreams become a relative and absolute reality. We Cloud9 beings have the power to transform, transfigure and transmute our outer and inner realities for ourselves and those alike, through education and correct action. Leviathan, Amam, is a sex force as well as a spell of amnesia or sleep for 9 ether beings. To break the spell, you must also spell it out. 3 ether forces and their counterparts are extracted from 6 ether forces, which is 9 ether in its death. After 3 ether dies out, 9 ether is resurrected again. The master teacher was preparing devotees, Muklasina, to overstand densities, taking us further along on our journey, and as we began to rise up in density, which in physics is the ratio of the mass of an object its volume, especially the volume of water and the quantity or number per unit, as of area, you activate the 7 senses, that activate the 7 higher senses, and even higher until you ascend back into divinity. The powers we have, that the Anakim, overlords of the Caucasu and Arabu stole, range from telekinesis, mind melding, geokinesis, plane crafting, hydrokinesis, aqua metamorphosing, aerokinesis, air bending, and pyrokinesis, inflammation control. Along with our 4 higher senses: intuition, telepathy, clairvoyance, and psychometry. Through Wu-Sabat, we will realign ourselves to regain our divine powers, gifts and talents, that come along with the jewels of our soul. In order for their leprous offspring, Caucasu, to disseminate, the Anakim spent millennia genetically manipulating and stupefying Nagaru the world over. Remember, we're not just native to Africa. Physical evidence of our planetary proliferation has thwarted and frustrated whitewashing anthropologists for decades. The reptilian Anakim have a preference for the genetics of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, whose mind patterns and genetics are easily controlled. Due to the fact that Caucasu lack a soul, they lack higher emotions, easily falling to pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth, their 7 deadly sins. The Anakim abducted members of the ruling classes, including political leaders. Using these humans, they began a new hybridization program that took several generations to perfect. Their goal was to reach a human-reptilian genetic 50-50 split. This would produce a human-looking reptilian that could easily shapeshift from reptilian to human, then back again. Shapeshifting is accomplished simply by concentrating on the genetics the hybrid wished to open, or lock up, whatever the case may be. Over the centuries, Nagaru Mesopotamian cities were slowly surrounded and infiltrated by nomads, as Africa is encircled by Berber cockroaches today, who have completely infiltrated and diluted Egypt and North Africa. Once the hybridization program was complete, the new leprous Sumerian leaders were now shapeshifting reptilians. The new reptilian hybrid became the elite of that culture. Their blood, because of the increased reptilian DNA, contained more of a copper content. Since copper-based blood turns blue-green upon oxidizing, these reptilian hybrids were called blue bloods. The blue bloods quickly realized that with a 50-50 human-reptilian genetic split, it was necessary to intermarry to maintain the 50-50 split bloodline necessary to shapeshift. When the split increased too far to the reptilian side, shapeshifting became difficult, and holding human form became impossible. In these cases, it was discovered that the ingestion of human hormones, flesh, and blood allowed the reptilians to maintain the human form. Human form was necessary to avoid scaring the population, which was now not accustomed to the reptilian form. Control of the masses was easier when the orders came from a humanoid. The reptilian format was kept to religious icons and legends. The statues of their gods and goddesses reflect the reptilian influence, even showing a female reptilian holding a hybrid baby. The sacrificial animal used in Abrahamic rituals was served daily to the blue bloods as a method of temporarily maintaining their human form until they could use an actual human in a sacrificial ceremony. Human genetics were mixed with those of the wild boar to create the domesticated pig. Because the domesticated pig is a combination of human and animal genetics, eating it is a form of cannibalism. This explains why the Hebrews considered it unclean to eat. Today it is the most popular meat consumed by Caucasus nations the world over. Pig skin can be grafted directly onto Caucasus in burn cases, and why pig heart valves can be used in Caucasus with little difficulty. Cancer drugs and other chemicals are often tested on pigs before humans. The pig frequency, or group mind, is the perfect vehicle for the Anakim to domesticate as Caucasus creation on their evolutionary progression. In many respects, pigs can be considered a relative of the Caucasus. As time progressed, the nomad invaders of the civilization of Sumer brought on its decline, and infected surrounding cultures. Vast migrations from Sumer to other locations in Central Asia occurred. The migrating peoples took their blue blood leaders with them, as they were their royalty and kings. They became known as Aryans. They spread out across Asia into the steppes of Russia and into the northern Indian subcontinent. In India they encountered the dark-skinned Dravidians, their parents, who were the first point of devolution, from woolly-haired, mammalian Nagaru, to straight-furred, thin snake-lipped Dravadu. The Dravidians were driven to the central and southern parts of India, while the Aryan hybrids took control of the north, and into the foothills of the Himalayas. The Aryan leaders, all blue bloods, became the sultans and rajas of legend and history. They also infected Babylonia. After the death of Nimrod, also known as Sargon, a Rephaim giant called Og, of the Moses story, used his Lulu Amalu food supply, the Caucasus, to infiltrate Nimrod's empire. They also migrated to the area known as the Caucasus region, where the Khazars developed. From the Caucasus region, the blue blood kings and their people spread west toward Europe, developing into the Franks, Cambrians, and Teutonic nationalities. These nationalities were also being manipulated by various alien cultures like the Pleiadians, who developed Caucasus as an alternative food supply. The Anakim had enslaved the Pleiadians many millennia ago. Due to the reptilians' voracious appetite, the 7 stars of Pleiadians have been facing a population crisis ever since. Although they have access to interstellar technology, and are portrayed in the media as having the physicality of athletic Caucasus in their prime, their worlds are ruled undisputedly by draconian reptilians, who keep Pleiadian planets as farms, at a medieval level of serfdom. These Lulu Amilu Caucasus eventually became the Celts. Some went to Greece and others to the Italian peninsula, but remember, Nagaru were here before these hybrids moved in. It was during the interim time period from the destruction of Atlantis until the nomad Caucasus descendants moved in that other alien groups started to add their genetic mix to the pot, and develop individual cultures based on their home worlds. These blue blood leaders also infiltrated the Middle Eastern peoples, as the biblical Canaanites, Amorites, and Jebusites. Knowledge of these realities is invaluable to today's Nagaru. Our solar system has exited the lowest point of the Smat circle, Anan Ray, and our emergence into the sun cycle or summer of our universe has placed us in a prime position to re-evolve, revolve, ascend to our destined etheric selves. Leaving trapped behind those who are obsessed with this third-dimensional delusion of flesh, control and dominance. Unfortunately for the Caucasus, due to their lack of solar, they are not able to reach the vibratory speeds necessary to ascend to the etheric plane. The sun, solar, represents energy, which is necessary to become an energy or etheric being. If they are exposed to the sun externally, they die from skin cancer. If they ignite their solar plexus internally, they suffer what's called spontaneous combustion. They are the lunar to our solar, therefore it's been in the best interests of the lesser fur-haired species of humanoid to limit us mentally and spiritual to worshipping their image, in order for them to feed on our energy, spiritual fuel, like vampires. They are so afraid of our advance in certain fields of realization, that they do everything in their power to suppress us. Just as the Western nations knew who the Africans really were, knew what the Africans had done, but they deliberately kept the knowledge away from Nagaru. For example, throughout the British Isles, Caucasus have found stone fragments, the most famous being Stonehenge. The original inhabitants of the Isles, before the invasion of the Saxons, Anglos and Jutes, who are a Germanic people, German, men of germs, infection, say that those were erected by black men, But the English people arriving in Africa pretended not to know that fact. But to the northwest of the country, islands that were once visited by us, the African is denied his own true identity, just like some alien entities are denying us the truth about ourselves and the importance of ourselves, pushing us into fear. They are actually blinding us. In countries throughout Africa, young children were being forced to be vaccinated. The elders protested against it, saying that children were being spiritually blinded. Well, it turned out to be true. Many Africans that were given these scaremongering vaccines became spiritually deaf and blind. They no longer saw nature's spirits, as well as suffered from various mental deficiencies. Only parents who protected them, who used to apply maize to cause blisters, so that when the Caucasus officials saw them, they thought they had been vaccinated. They were prevented from being spiritually blinded. This is part of a strategy that is being perused in conjunction with the AIDS pandemic. Vaccines making it much more difficult to get to a multidimensional level of awareness, as well as the sugar and additives in our food and drink. What they must do is hold us in the 5 sense, third dimensional reality, and prevent us from moving to our 9 mind. We are being bombarded through media, propaganda, and an aversion to education, so we find it much harder to see who we are, so we look only to the physical world, ruled by Caucasus, to see who we are. We fell from a godly state to a slave state. We fell from people who first sailed the seas to people who are frightened of their own shadows today. We must go back to that time and understand man should fall no more. Nagaru men and women should go back to the days of those Tamarayans that raised great pyramids in Egypt and Peru. These were Nagaru that used their Netaru given talents. We should go back to that. Africa needs to go back to that time and be an agent of peace on this planet. When the British went into our societies, whether it be the Native Americans, Central America, South Africa, Australia, wherever they went, one of their key goals was to destroy the knowledge there. They killed the shaman, which is why our Ferdian priesthood went underground into a network of secret societies. Caucasus wanted to destroy that knowledge. They were terrified of it because it holds the knowledge that can set us free. If we did not have the potential to be that godlike entity, then they would not have to work so hard to suppress our infinite selves. Uncovering their methods of suppression should not be ignored. We are Kadam, Melanonite children. You are linked and influenced by your environment. You are linked to the plants, for plants have an aura or energy field, animals have an aura, trees, bugs, insects, dirt, water, all emit an aura and a mood, a vibration. What we will start to realize in the coming years is, our aura is infinite and boundless. Your aura is directed by the powers of your mind. Everything has an effect on everything. No matter where you are on the planet Earth, Pata Nun, in the universe or galaxy. Planets have an effect on other planets, solar bodies affect solar bodies, thus all is within all. You are an organic electromagnetic being. Electromagnetism is magnetism produced by an electric change in motion. It creates its own opposites. Electromagnetism equals magnetism developed by a current of electricity. Thus you have attraction. Knowing these laws within nature, Netaru, and how they operate is very important. Once you know, then these things become more real, factual and practical to you, and easy to understand and apply to your everyday life. Let's look at the word knowledge. When viewing this word, we see the first 4 letters are K-N-O-W, which gives you the word know, so to know a thing means you have knowledge of it. Knowing increases your awareness, and the more you know, the more you can positively do. According to the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, the word know is defined as, to have understanding, overstanding, of, to recognize the nature of, discern, to have experience of. Discern means, to come to know or recognize mentally, discriminate right from wrong. So the right knowledge gives one the ability to know right from wrong, and knowing these laws within nature, Netaru, gives you the power universally to know right from wrong, thus placing the power of the Creator, the source of all, back in control of your hands and your life as the children of nature, Netaru, and not in the preacher, pastor, rabbi or imam. Experience means, the fact or state of having been affected by or gained knowledge through direct observation or participation. Practical knowledge, skill, or practice derived from direct observation of or participation in events or in a particular activity. As the old saying goes, experience is the best teacher. The word fact means, action. The more we apply these laws of nature, Netaru, in our life, the more facts and confirmations we will have, and our confidence then grows in our ability to effectively apply these laws within nature. No more guessing, no more beliefs and faiths, time to know, time to have knowledge, time for facts. This is blocked, obscured by the Abrahamic religions, based on sacrifice and an avenging alien controller, that they called God or Elohim. Similarly, when the Aryans mixed with the Dravidians in India, they created the Hindu religion, which is actually a recreation of the reptilian Anakim hierarchy. The caste system of India is a direct copy of the reptilian division of function. In their mania for control, the Anakim used the various races that they bred out of the original Nagaru and fastidiously monitored these hybrids to determine which was best suited for overall control, and which for subservience. All the hybrids could be controlled through the reptilian brain that hooked them into reptilian mind patterns, but some were more controllable than others. In Europe, the blue-blood hybrids insidiously took control of the various tribes and groups, becoming their kings and royalty. They started to create a new global empire through the Romans. These European blue-bloods then entirely eliminated the original Nagaru bloodline in Greece, from Javan son of Japheth, son of Noah, and instigated their plan for globalization through the Roman Empire. The Caucasus reptilian hybrids became like the endometriosis of the known world, slowly growing into all areas and creating control through the blue blood system, mind control via religion. These Anakim religions believe in a hierarchy, or caste system. This caste system is extrapolated to the several reptilian species, incorporated into the Draco Empire. Each species has its own place in the structure of their society. Every individual knows its functions and respects these boundaries. To violate these rules mean death. The reptilians operate as a group mind, meaning that no single reptilian can make a decision for itself. Only the upper caste, or winged ones, have the semblance of individuality. They were, and are, the leaders. When this religion was forced onto Nagaru, the caste system was infused into our society as a religious hierarchy. Half a continent away in China, the Anakim enforced a male-dominated empire system on the descendants of the Nagaru tides who migrated eastward. Here, the male emperor would always have an empress. The people were told that the emperor and empress were descendants of the sun god. The symbol of the empire was the dragon, another reptilian figure. This royal family created a dynasty that ruled tight-fisted for millennia. The Chinese Anak religion spread across Eastern Asia, while the Abrahamic version meandered through Central and Western Asia. The spread of these religions was intentionally controlled from the underground reptilian population, primarily centered under Tibet. At the same time in India, the Anakim created a caste system that was a direct replica of the reptilian hierarchy, from the lowly workers, untouchables, to the Brahmin, winged ones. This Indian reptilian culture remained localized, writing the ancient Vedas and building temples to the various reptilian gods. These Anakim, and their religiously programmed automaton children have caused Nagaru to fall from being to supreme being, to human, to man, to mortal, to mammal. Please don't fall any further. Your assignment from your overseers, the Netaru, is to gain control over the mind, by using our Tamarayan proven scientific method. By slowing down the continuous rambling, the internal dialogue, and focus on balancing out the operations of the mind with positive uplifting objectives, ideas, and formulas, it's an achievable reality to master one's own mind, and master the inner workings of the mind and connecting it with our mental reservoir called Noon. The true light, Nuwa, purifies and heals us from the effects of the amber light, lesser lunar Caucasus thought patterns. We all will speak one tongue, Sabian. Earn back the ability to do things with clarity, clear vision, clairvoyance, and to discern between the false light of the Caucasus and the true light of the omniverse.